right. All right, three, two, one, and we are live with Christa Nichols. How are you, Christa? Good, 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 good. And so maybe we start with a little bit of your background, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself. For sure. That's awesome. Did you say music reading? What? Oh, I gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And that, how did you get started with copy? How did you get started with that? That's awesome. And what was the first obstacles that you had when you decided to start writing copy? Awesome. Awesome. That's awesome. How was the maybe the night or the couple days or the week where they said, "Hey, they're retiring"? Like, how was that for you? Like, home personally, as a woman, as an employee, as a business person, in all dimensions. Hmm. Yeah. Wow. And it's so crazy because we were traveling for like a couple of years. It makes me think of a time, and we thought we were gonna do online school so we could travel with her. She was like 13, our daughter, and we didn't realize how much work that was to do. And even it was like an online school. It wasn't home school. But even then, like we had to be on top of it and be sure. So I can't imagine like that big transition for you of homeschool and then trying to start a business. And so how was right? Yeah, that's so crazy. It's like they call Parkinson's law. That if it takes, if you have an hour to do something, you'll get it done in an hour. If you have 24 hours, you'll take 24 hours. Yeah, and so we can push ourselves so much. And so, what was the first steps when you talk about masterminds? Um, what did you always kind of had that mentality? Like, I need to go to a group to like get something in here, or was that like something that came out of necessity, or how did you make that transition? Or mm, Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And how was the shift that you mentioned, that it wasn't that you needed to work on your business, but you needed to make a new business? How was that? What? That's amazing because I remember this ties so much for me to like people's like health and journey in health, because a lot of times people are feeling bad most of the days, and then they don't realize that they don't have to feel that way. It's almost like an abusive relationship with that disease. Like it's like a part of their identity, part of my identity too, of things that I dealt with. And it wasn't until like, man, I don't have to be that person. I can be somebody else over here. And I feel like business, and that's why I love like the marriage of businesses and health, because I feel like with business there is no BS. Like you're either getting results or you're not, so you have to grow. you know you have to create something that creates value for other people, and that's it. Like if you're not doing that, you're not getting results, and so you're forced to grow. Um, and, and, s- and and so that's amazing to watch what you're saying, that you had that transition from an abusive kind of client that you had, and you're like, I don't need that. Like I'm better than that. It's like self-worth. That's amazing. That's so crazy. See, because that's exactly the same when people come to me, for instance, for a pill, and 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 I've done it too. Where we want this quick fix, but actually, what we need to do is like, hey, this is my fault. Like I did this to myself, and I need to take ownership of it, responsibility of it, and be able to move forward, like almost as a new identity. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, that's so true. I see this like with people in disability, because they're getting paid to get sick, and so it's like they have a relationship with that, but it's like their job to be sick, and so it's really hard for them to get better. And so and then what was like the first breakthrough that you had, like when you were like, oh man, like this is working. That's okay. That's such a cool story because it ties into how important it is for like to for me it just makes me think of how important it is to step back, you know, and to take time for ourselves and to relax, to do whatever it is. Like yesterday I was feeling kind of been going a lot and I just needed something and we went to do the flotation tanks. I don't know if you've ever done. Yeah. Yeah. And it was like the best sleep I've had, but it was so needed and I felt so refreshed. And then when you come back, you just realize new things that, man, I was like doing that too much and hurting myself. You can let that go. Let that go. It just gets better and better. Um, Cause you don't even have time to like to think that like is this what I want? Just trying to make it work, you know. Yeah, it's like navigation or something, you know. Like you go out in the boat and then the weather changes, things changes. You gotta like, okay, where do I still want to go to the same place? You know, maybe not. Yeah, recalculating, recalculating. And when you started with the mastermind and everything, when was the first big win that you had, and how did that go down? Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And it's almost, you know, what I've learned to realize is that as I'm hearing my own voice, and so so it takes me a little. It's kind of weird. I'm hearing my own voice, but as I, in the medical field, I was so entrenched in the medical field, boom, 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 for so many years, and then as I'm learning this digital space and the entrepreneurship in the past 6 7 years, it's been amazing to see the power of copy and the power of the written word, you know, and it's almost like the key into our brains. It just holds the key. So like you have such an important skill, and for I mean, and then so the drug companies know this for sure. The big marketing companies, and so it's almost like all these coaches, and for me too, it's so important to be able to learn these skills so that we can have the same amount of influence, so it's even, so that then it's balanced. So the truth, so then they can choose. And so when I'm here, what I one time this guy told me that branding was kind of like this myth because we can market, but then our clients are actually the one, or our communities that we build are actually the ones who create the brand. And so it's kind of similar to what you're telling me, that like it's people's needs and the wording they use and the language and their problems and how they describe their struggle that gets put into this copy, huh? Yeah, that's awesome. You're right. You're right. And what's next for you? What's next for Krista? Like a workshop? Gotcha. And this is boss con, like a boss, like baby boss. And in your workshop, what would you like? What do you go through, for instance? What type of things? If I was in your workshop, what type of things kind of do you run through? Oh, okay. Gotcha. And yeah, because I guess, like you said, if you don't know that, that's like the key to you can't help them really. They know that. And so a messaging framework is almost like a process that you've created through inquiry and questions and things like that to get that information out of your clients. Gotcha, gotcha. And if a couple of the last questions that I have is, if we were to watch a movie about your life, what would be a point in the movie that would be like, oh my god? Yeah, that's pretty wild. You just push through that. And I was thinking about getting a goat, where we used to live in Hawaii, so we had so much more grass to cut, and we were like, why don't you just get a bunch of goats, so and they can cut the grass, Um, oh, do you? How's the goat? Is it they're pretty chill or what? That's awesome. Um, and I think the last question I have is, what do you think? Because I struggle with this a lot with when patients and working with a lot of business people, and that a lot of times we're doing well, and then something happens like when you lost the 80%, and we realize like, man, like I'm not thriving, or and what do you think thriving is? Absolutely, I couldn't agree anymore. That's awesome. If there is a mother out there somewhere with homeschooling kids and just lost 80% of their business, and their husbands have two, painful shoulders, what would you say to them right now? That's that's awesome. Well, that wraps it up for me. Thank you so much, Chris. I think this was such an awesome interview. Yeah, for sure, and I think it'll be so helpful for so many people and people listening to it. You know, if they're going through something similar. I love the last part that you said. That's awesome. So thank you so much. I appreciate it, and until next time. And I wish you all the best in all your endeavors. Okay, take it easy. Bye.